Dylan's a guy we've had high regard for since this process started for us, and really excited. He'll come in and compete to start at left guard right away. Again, just the intangibles we like. His skill set fits us, fits our division, fits our scheme. So again, we're really excited to add Dylan to the mix.
You said left guard. Is there any particular reason why left over right?
Well, that's where he's been. He's been a left guard for the last 2 seasons for Georgia. We've lost a lot of Georgia tape, I can tell you that right now, over the last 2 years. We've watched every offensive lineman that's come through there, and really impressed us. We interviewed him at the we had a formal with him at the Combine, really enjoyed him. Pitch went down there and spent time with him. He and Scott Peters, and Pitch can comment more on that. But again, we're another one. We were crossing our fingers that he'd be there when we picked, and we had to wait a lot of picks for it, but he was there.
Did you go into today feeling like you guys wanted to add a guard?
We did, yeah. I think there's a lot of scenarios out there. Obviously, we want to take the best players that are available, and we're very thankful that a linebacker that we really coveted and a guard that we really coveted were both there. And so, again, that's a good day for us. Okay, I'll let Pitch get to work.
How's it going, guys? Fire away.
Dan, what did you take away from your trip to Athens with all those guys and Dylan in particular?
Yeah, no, really productive trip. It's a great visit down there. Obviously, there's a tremendous caliber of player, so it's definitely a pro day worth going to. We went with Dylan in mind. We spent time with him, Scott and myself, in the meeting room. Obviously, Scott got a chance to get hands on him and work him out on the field, and we went down there with high regard for the player, and we left with even higher regard. And so just really fortunate that we get an opportunity to add him at this stage.
When you guys are evaluating the guard spot, specifically given how much you guys want to pass the ball, what are the traits and intangibles that you guys need to see from an offensive lineman at that specific position?
Yeah, to me it's a blend of stoutness, power, ability to anchor versus power, the ability to redirect laterally with quickness. There's a lot of explosive, twitchy interior rushers in our league, and so you have to have that appropriate blend of strength and lateral mobility, and we believe Dylan has both those things in spades.
When you say you went down with Dylan in mind, what put him ahead of tape for you?
I wouldn't necessarily say one was ahead of the other. We obviously had interest in both players. They're both really good college football players, and so we went down there with an open mind. They got other guys too that we went down there to see, right? So it's definitely a worthwhile visit for a coordinator. But we just came away super impressed with Dylan. Again, enjoyed our time in the classroom with him. We felt like he was able to really articulate his role within their offense, what he was asked to do. He was able to point out, some of the errors that he made, how he would correct them moving forward. And then again, the physical component of his play style just really fits us. He's tough. The intangibles are through the roof. We're talking about, I think, an undefeated high school wrestler. You really feel that strength. You feel that the will to move people. It's all there with Dylan, so we're super excited to have him.
I asked Al this last night. Is it just a coincidental benefit that he played with the Warriors, or is there something to that where you have these guys in the same room now?
No, I mean, I don't think it's nothing. It's helpful. I wouldn't say that was a deciding factor in our decision, but it's obviously rapport, especially in that room with those guys, is incredibly important. So if guys have pre-existing relationships and they've played with one another, and they know one another, they like one another, those are obviously things that help. But I wouldn't say that was a deciding factor.
Is left guard his to win?
Left guard is absolutely his to win.
Is there a certain game or a certain situation that you felt really good about on tape watching him, where you really jumped out to?
Well, I mean, I think through the course of this whole process, I probably watched this whole season, all right? And he's a guy that showed strides over the course of the season. He's a guy who battled and played through an injury, who played less than 100%, but just toughed it out. Was able to show that he could correct in areas maybe early in the year where he struggled a little bit. And he's a guy with tremendous upside. He's 22 years old. He's got 2 years of starting football under his belt. He's got a great physical skill set, and we think all the, again, intangibles to realize that potential.
I know Georgia is a really good program, but is there something else specifically about maybe the way they play ball and the types of bodies they have on the offensive line that makes them, very strong, projections for the NFL?
I just think they demand a lot of their players. They demand a lot physically. They demand a lot mentally. It's obvious when you see the success that they've had under that head coach and that program, and when you go down there and you feel the energy in that building and you see what's demanded of those guys, and you feel the energy they have for one another, their teammates, their program. I think it's always good to add guys from an environment like that.
Did you go into the offseason with the intent of being more physical in your interior offensive line?
That's a prerequisite to get to where we want to go, right? And we believe we have the pieces in this building to reach our ultimate goal, but we got to be physical to get there. And so Dylan's a player that helps us do that.
Is he the kind of guy that had a bunch of good reps against some of the top defensive linemen in his class, and in that way, does he look kind of ready-made for that?
Sure. Listen, he's a young player, but he's started for 2 seasons. He's grown. He's improved. Statistically, he's been a very efficient pass protector, and obviously that's something that we value highly.
How much does his wrestling background show up in the way he moves?
Yeah, I think there's a leverage element. There's being rooted in the ground and being able to play with a base and be able to torque and in tight quarters, control a defender, generate running lanes. And then, again, in protection, it's that ability to anchor, to absorb power, and to not cede ground so that we can create that separation for Joe to be able to sit back there and do what he does.
How do you view right guard? You mentioned left guard is the land. How does right guard?
Sure. Listen, I think we have a handful of guys in the building right now who are tough competitors who have all played a considerable amount of NFL football. And we're going to compete, and we're going to give guys an opportunity. And so we have Cody. Obviously, we signed Lucas, Cordell. Now add Dylan to the mix, and there's other guys too that'll have an opportunity to show what they can do. So we're gonna compete, and those jobs are whoever shows they deserve the job are gonna go out there and play for us.
Did you watch any of his old wrestle tape by chance?
I saw a clip on the way down on TV, but I focus mainly on the football.
Did you ever wrestle pitch?
No, believe it or not, looking at me, I never wrestled.
What was the experience like kind of just working with the new offensive line coach through this process?
Say that again,
What
Charlie.
was the experience like just working with the new offensive line?
It was great, man. I learned a lot from Scott. Scott, as you guys get to know Scott, tremendous technician, a lot of energy for that element of his job. That's his, just the hand-to-hand combat, giving guys tools to win in that phase. That's who he is. And it just seeps out of them. And so when you see him interact with these young players, and they really gravitate to that, you see their eyes light up a little bit as he starts talking to them about how he's going to be able to develop them, particularly in pass protection. There's no secret, right? That's what makes us go. Doesn't mean that's the only thing that makes us go, but that's what makes us go first and foremost, and we think Dylan fits that.
Considering what you have on offense and what the team did in the offseason, did you wonder when you would come up to the podium in this draft and there'd be a player taking on that side of the ball?
Those are things that I really can't control. I'm thankful that the Bengals are having an opportunity to get better. Team game, 3 phases. Obviously, I have my role in one of them, but I just want us to be better, and we know we're close.
How important do you think it was to get a guard and dress it with a guy that you think can come in and compete right away?
I think it's really important. I think he's a player that can compete right away. As we mentioned before, he's immediately thrown right in the mix at left guard, and he's a player with a lot of upside yet to realize. So, we're going to demand it out of him early. We're not waiting. He's going to show up, and the demands are going to be clear, and we're going to ask him to go do it right now. But we know that there's a process there too for him to grow and ultimately become an excellent player in this league.
Do you want him to work on the right side too, or would it just be focused?
We'll deal with that moving forward. Obviously, he's played all of his football at left guard, and so a young player, bringing him into a new setting in the best league in the world, we want to put him in position to have success. So that makes the most sense right now at left guard. It doesn't mean he won't cross-train, and we'll figure out the pieces, they'll fall wherever they fall once we get to the season. But the initial plan is for him to work at left guard.
There's a physical aspect, Dan, to the position, obviously, but the mental aspect, what do you know about him mentally and his toughness and his nastiness?
Yeah, the toughness and the nastiness is all over the tape. And then you go meet the kid and you look him in the eye and you hear him respond to these questions and you hear him talk about what's important to him, and it oozes out of him. That's who he is. It's central to who he is. the mental part of playing the position, you start to dig into a little bit more as you watch the tape, and you probe and you question and you poke holes. Why'd you do this? Why was your response that on this specific play? And you try to listen for things that clue you into the fact that this guy understands football, he understands what was being asked of him, and he's going to be able to grow in that role. And we believe that those things are all true. He's a young player. He's going to make mistakes. There's mistakes on his tape, but all of those things are correctable. We're going to work like hell with him. We think we got a really good player.
When you were watching Scott work with him, to get a kind of a sense of what he's going to be like during the season, they say he's, he works almost as hard as a lineman in practice.
Scott? Oh yeah, Scott's hands-on now. He'll, that's essential to his philosophy as a coach. He's going to demonstrate, and he wants the guys to be able to feel what he's talking about. And so, you guys will enjoy watching his individual periods.
Knowing how important guard was, and obviously you wanted to address it. Hopefully today, I'm sure, when the guys started to go off, you see someone go, you get nervous?
I mean, that's the draft. This is draft 15 for me. So, you just kind of, it comes with the territory. There's 31 other buildings and a lot of really smart people who watch the same tape we watch. So it's no surprise when there's guys that come off the board that you have, a high regard for. But Dylan's a guy that we had a lot of regard for early in the process. It grew as we went along, and we're just really happy that he was sitting for us there in the third.
See any commonality among the three guys that you've drafted in the first 2 days?
They all play really, really hard, and that's unmistakable when you put the tape on. And I think when you get talented guys that play really, really hard and are coachable and who care, then you got a hell of a foundation.